Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
I thought it was empty.
Brothers and sisters, welcome back to another episode of Chai with my Bhai, aka Tea with my bro, aka Bradin al-Jar. In today's episode, the other brothers couldn't make it today, qadarullahu ma shafa'al, so we had to make do. It's like 10:30 p.m, so it's understandable. So we're going to wing it inshallah with only 3 men. We've actually got liquid in the cups today, but it's milk.
It's chai, innit?
It's milk, innit? It's milk. Today's episode, inshallah, I know we said that the next one's going to be on the issue of Nike and qaza' haircuts, but because this is a very contemporary issue, hence why we're recording it at 10:30 p.m. at night, we're going
Is there
to...
no more milk left?
Oh, did you want some as well?
Are we sharing?
I thought you don't drink milk.
No, as in I want to dip the...
Okay, you can dip it. Today's topic, inshallah, is going to be on the topic of atheism, since, recently, Stephen Hawking, right? Stephen Hawking's passed away.
You don't know his name.
And he was one of the heads of atheism, and from a scientific perspective, they told him to be one of the greatest minds of of this era, essentially. And inshallah, we're going to be discussing a few issues pertaining to atheism, and particularly his beliefs and his quotes, some of the things that he said. So first of all, does anyone want to give a brief? Some people might not know what atheism is. I'm sure the majority must. Does anyone want to give a brief overview of what is atheism?
Imran,
Fadlan.
please.
No.
Go ahead.
This is Dawah Man's field.
Go ahead.
This is your fun.
It's been a few years. I've been out with the, atheist thing. Okay. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillah ma ba'd. There are people who don't believe in Allah.
Don't leave it for too long and it's going to break.
No, it's soaking up, trust me. There are people who don't believe in Allah Azza wa Jal.
Okay.
They, what else do you want me to say?
They don't believe in
we
Allah.
go to different types, the atheist, the agnostic, the deist.
Okay, but Hindus don't believe in Allah.
Well, okay, you're right. Okay, good. They reject Allah's rububiyyah. So in other words, when we talk about Allah's oneness, there's you can look at Allah's oneness from 3 categories. There's the oneness in terms of His names and His attributes, i.e. Allah is Ar-Rahman, and He's the only one whose mercy is like His mercy. There's no one who's merciful like He is merciful.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I'm saying? That's a very watered down explanation of it. Then there's Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, which is that Allah is the only one who deserves to be worshipped. You only worship Him. You express your oneness through only deifying Him, only worshipping Him. And then there's Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, which is that you accept that Allah is the only creator, sustainer, provider. He's the only controller of affairs. Do you see what I'm saying? The atheists, they reject that one. If you want to look at it, if you reject that, then of course you're going to reject the other types of tawheed as well. You're not going to worship someone that you don't believe exists. Exactly. So they reject that. That's basically what atheism is. Yeah.
I'm going to carry on talking about my biscuit.
So what is this? Eat with my bile? I don't know.
We never had tea biscuits before.
Tea with biscuits. But
So the significance of Stephen Hawking, who just recently passed away, was one of the main references, especially towards those who attribute themselves to atheism, and also his contribution to science and so forth.
Especially to like black holes and cosmology and stuff like that. He came up with them. Theories and stuff.
Physics-wise, the guy held Isaac Newton's chair in Cambridge, he was accomplished in terms of the science.
I think he had like 11 degrees or something along those lines.
Mad. I mean, whatever. it was mad. But the point is that he got the most basic thing wrong. He couldn't understand there was a creator to the universe.
And that in and of itself is a problem, right? Because obviously, if you're someone who has intelligence, you would assume that that's something which would be quite clear cut, right? Looking around you, you see all these signs that point towards, and obviously this is something which you would be better suited to go into because obviously you've done this sort of stuff.
Like I think Buddha had a point, right?
He just mentioned
In terms of, I mean, look, like you mentioned, like this person is someone who's venerated especially in society, and what's he contributed and so forth, and many people came out to. It was very funny, in the sense of someone's died now, so usually people say R.I.P. So others were like, may your energy be reused. You know, like these kind of weird phrases, you know, for the good, or like it's like an ending which we all know we're heading to. And personally,
put it off.
Yeah, personally, I know, just like Fir'aun, he knew when Musa told him deep down, and Musa said, "You know that there's a creator out there." It was just very hard-headed. Just like these who claim to be not one to attribute themselves to a religion, but still deep down they know there's something out there and there's an ending to it. The more closer they get to it, so it was one of those ones. Like,
and you know what's crazy about that? Like, can you get an atheist bigger than Fir'aun? Fir'aun said, "Ana rabbukum al-a'la."
Clean.
He said, "I am the Lord Most High," which means if atheism is to reject the existence of Allah Azza wa Jalla,
He took it one step further.
He took it a step further. He said, "I'm telling you, Allah doesn't exist to the extent where I am the Lord."
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Yet him, as you mentioned, Musa alayhi said, "Qad alimta." Fir'aun, you know what is coming down to me from the Lord of the heavens and the earth. So Allah told us that Musa said he knew. So Musa is trustworthy to me, and Allah documented in the Quran.
No.
Allah also affirmed, وَاسْتَيْقَنَتْنَا أَنفُسَهُمْ ظُلْمًا وَعُلُوًا. He affirmed it inside himself, but he rejected it due to being arrogant.
Yeah.
So Fir'aun, if he believes, then all these atheists believe. They all believe. It's like they say there's no such thing as an atheist on a plane that's coming down. Straight, oh God. Even Richard Dawkins, I think it would be good to play the clip now. And he was asked on the show, what is Charles Darwin's Origin of Species book? What's the full name of it? And he couldn't, he was trying to say the full name. It's like 16 words long. It's a long name. So he tried to say the name of the book, but then halfway through he's like, oh God. And the guy's like, what? You believe in God now? Richard. And we know Richard Dawkins is like he's the messenger of atheism. You understand? If he's saying, oh God, it shows you that it's deep down in the fitter, I know.
Wait, Richard Dawkins said it or Stephen Hawking said it?
No, Richard Dawkins.
He said it in an interview.
Yeah, because to be fair,
I forget it was his book that Stephen Hawking was.
They both had books. Stephen Hawking had a book called The Grand Design, right, in which he talks about atheism. Richard Dawkins has many books. I don't even want to mention them in case anyone goes and buys them. The point is this, is that to be fair though, when to Stephen Hawking, like he wasn't an aggressive atheist like the rest were in it. He was more of a scientist. He didn't really talk about atheism too much. But that book he wrote, The Grand Design, he tried to get a bit clever in there, and that's why he got refuted, man. To be honest, he got refuted on quite a deep level still.
Okay, so what are sort of the key fundamental counter arguments for the beliefs regarding atheism? How can someone counteract? Is that where you want to go with this?
I mean, look, we can. I think it's important that when we deal with these issues, we deal with them in a shari'i way. We don't go to philosophy and things like that. We deal with these issues in a classic way. We've got the Quran, in which Allah Azza wa Jal, He refuted all falsehood. I mean, one of the names of the Quran is Al-Furqan, which means the thing that differentiates between truth and falsehood. So I can go to the Quran and benefit from it in refuting all sorts of falsehood. And people don't do that because they have ignorance of the Quran and its sciences. That's not a shortcoming of the Quran, it's a shortcoming of yourself. You see what I'm saying? So before we go to that, I want to kind of express what kind of happened with these people. Like Allah, He mentions in the Quran, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ اللَّيْلُ وَالنَّهَارُ وَالشَّمْسُ وَالْقَمَرُ. Allah said that from Allah's signs is the night and the day, and the sun and the moon, meaning the cosmos, the universe, the heavens. These are from Allah's signs, the celestial bodies. When a sign, an ayah here means that it's something, like imagine you're going down a road and you see a sign that says, so and so, like Birmingham is this way. It's a sign that tells you Allah
benefits you information.
Yeah, benefits you information. And what's supposed to benefit you is that Allah, when you look at the sun, the moon, the night and the day, and the way it alternates, and the way it's all in motion, the way that there is order necessitates that there has to be an order giver. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, if you say that the order was placed, then someone had to place it. If there's no order, then there's chaos. But when we look at the universe, there's no chaos, there's order, which means someone had to set the order in place, right? So when you look at the heaven and earth and you ponder, you're like, okay, there's order. So there must have been someone who placed the order, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Things they won't accept that, right? But Allah told you that when you look at the heavens and the sun and the moon and the night and the day, it's supposed to lead you towards Allah. But then Allah told us, لا تسجدوا للشمس ولا للقمر. Do not worship, do not prostrate, do not make sajda to the sun and the moon. وَاسْجُدُوا لِلَّهِ الَّذِي خَلَقَهُنْ. Make sajda and worship to who? Make sajda, prostration towards the one who created the sun and the moon. So what happened here is that, back in the days you used to have the sun worshippers and the moon who actually used to actually worship the sun. When it would rise, they would worship it. That's why we're not allowed to pray at the time when the sun is rising, right? Because we don't want to imitate the kuffar. But the thing is that nowadays you don't find people actually worshipping the sun, but they worship it in a different way. Remember, because ibadah is ismun jam'un likulli ma yuhibbu Allah wa yarda. It is something that's a comprehensive term that encompasses anything that Allah He loves and He's pleased with, right? So, in other words, veneration is a form of worship. Sajda is a form of worship, right? And that can only be for Allah. If you start directing that to other than Allah, you're now doing shirk. So the atheist is supposed to venerate Allah. He's supposed to glorify Allah. He says, Subhana Rabbi al-A'la, right? Subhanallah is supposed to say. But what does he do? He doesn't say. He says, Subhanal-Alam. Glory be to the universe. He doesn't say Subhanallah. He says Subhanal-Alam. The way they're amazed by the universe, the way they venerate the universe. What are they doing? Yeah, they're worshipping the universe. Because that's what Stephen Hawking said in his book, The Grand Design. He said, and I'm paraphrasing, but his quote is famous, it's online. He said, now it's been shown that God was not needed to light the touch paper. God was not needed to set things in motion. Like, the universe started itself. The universe is the God. The universe is the Rabb, is what he's trying to say.
Mother Nature.
Mother Nature, do you understand? Like, when they say, oh, how do you know there wasn't another universe? They created another universe. And then, we say, okay, but where did it end? The Mother Universe. You just don't want to say Allah. Do you understand? Yeah. So Allah said, don't worship the sun and the moon. Don't worship this. Worship the ones who created this. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's a little insight, inshallah. Brother, go ahead, bring it home. Bring it home.
But feeding off that is, like you said, that your intellect or your mind is there as a tool which then allows you to worship Allah.
Sahih.
Like you said, if I cover my eyesight, you cover your eyesight only allows you to see up to that, and then what's behind that is like you don't know, innit?
It's the unknown.
So it's basically it's the unknown, and that's what our mind is there for. It's to guide us and to use as a tool to lead us to it. But then others are now trying to use that as a tool to take us away from that. So it's important. And now, as you see, a lot of people, what they do is, as you know, taqdeemun aql, they put their intellect forward before the text, which certain groups have previously done and so forth, and it's still relevant till now. That a person now, when he reads a hadith and or he comes across an ayah and stuff like that, and then he's doing his secular studies on the side, or just generally, the person will be like, it doesn't make sense, innit? Like, you know what? But as a person, there was someone who said this. I would be like, may Allah guide them. I remember there was a time he came across a hadith which was talking about something, and then he says, "Does Allah think that I'm dumb?" Basically, like, because this goes like this is not like something. So it's one of those was just like you give him precedence
to the aql over the naql.
Yeah, and that's what's allowing certain people to be misled, because now it's like, there's a contradiction, which there isn't.
Wasn't it Ibn Taymiyyah who said that, if it comes to us, or if it comes to someone that they feel like a evidence is going against the aql, either number one, the evidence isn't authentic, which is why, it's not even, it has no basis.
You got your hadith wrong, basically.
Yeah.
You've got it wrong, that it's a weak hadith in the first place, so that's why it opposes it. Or there's a deficiency in your aql. You just haven't understood that evidence properly, which is why you think there's a contradiction. But in reality, an authentic text will never, ever contradict a correct aql, understanding.
And the reason for that is because they both come from the same source. Allah gave you this. Allah gave you the aql, He gave you the intellect, and He gave you the revelation.
Two go hand in hand. And not only that is the importance of, these people now are in a position where not only are they role models, but they influence societies and they hold very high positions, and it's like people take that, I want to follow that path, and people follow their steps, and allows them to, let me study this science, and these sciences are all good and everything. No, it's not prohibited to do these sciences and study and everything like that, following the correct means. But now what's happening is that it's being, how can you say it, the scales have turned in that sense. For example, the one who's a scientist, like Stephen Hawking, his position is great. Someone who's a scholar, basically.
In his field.
This person is great. But then the Islamic scholar is someone who's low, where the Muslim sees you, you know what?
Oh, okay, I see what you mean.
You see what I'm saying?
The Muslims see them to be higher and see them to be lower.
And
When they're backward minded, they're stuck
like,
in the previous
you're back
14th
there.
century.
And then this guy's up here. I want to go towards that.
Mm.
But really and truly, this one, as Allah tells us, because knowledge, because the Prophet was told to increase in knowledge. Allah commanded the Prophet to say, Rabbi zidni ilma. So increase me knowledge.
And he never asked him. The Prophet never asked to be increased in anything but knowledge.
Anything. So with knowledge, what knowledge in it? The knowledge of the deen of Allah, the Sharia and everything. So that knowledge is that which was commanded to, because Ibn Qayyim mentions that if the, value of knowledge, there was no evidence for it except this, then that would have been sufficient, because the Prophet is being commanded to increase in this, to show. No, he never was asked to increase in wealth. It was never anything. It was just
power, strength, numbers, nothing.
Anything in this world except knowledge. And even, you know what is how amazing knowledge is. Even though what he learned is something great, but the person like Stephen Hawking himself, he had knowledge, which gave him that position. Despite whatever knowledge where he led him to, it was still knowledge. So knowledge still has its benefits, even if the person goes and went into a wrong path. The fact that it's knowledge.
Sahih. Knowledge powers, they say.
Exactly. But then when the person gets that correct knowledge, just like the scholars, who Allah praised them, يَرْفَعِ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنْكُمْ وَالَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ دَرَجَاتٍ. So Allah raised the scholars because of what their knowledge. That they're people that are uplifted. And there's many, many benefits of knowledge. But also the Prophet told us, خَيْرَكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَهُ. That the best of you, because everyone wants to be the best person.
And you want to have the best type of knowledge, right?
The prophets tend that the best of you are who? The ones that... And today, who are the lows? The Quran teachers, the person looked at as low.
Subhanallah.
In
He's the guy just marking.
He's a Quran teacher.
They get paid the lowest.
Just take 20.
And you know what's mad? Is that... Not mad, sorry, but what's powerful is that the Prophet said, من يريد الله به خيرا ويفقهه في الدين. That anyone who Allah wishes good for, Allah intends good for, Allah gives him fiqh, which is deep understanding of the religion. So I'm saying Stephen Hawkins can have deep understanding of all he wants, and you can study in whatever academic science you want, but really it's not a sign that Allah intends good for you. Allah intends good for you when He gives you deep understanding of the religion. And that's why, akhi, every day the Prophet ﷺ would make the following dua: Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'a. Oh Allah, I ask you for knowledge which is beneficial. Because Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali rahimahullah has got a book called Fadl al-Ilm al-Salaf al-Ilm al-Khalaf. The virtue of the knowledge of the Salaf over the knowledge of those who came after the Salaf. He said that knowledge that will benefit you is the one that has an effect. What effect does it have? Fear of Allah. And you bring statements of Sahaba and whatnot. He said, al-ilm is not kathratul riwayah. It's not, many narrations. Like, it's what inherits you, khashya. Because Allah said, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء. That the ones who have knowledge are the ones who they have khashya, which means fear of Allah. So a person can study all that he wants, but if he doesn't have fear of Allah, his knowledge hasn't really benefited him. And akhi, you can have that from science, You can study science and you can have khashya. Because what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say in Surah Ali Imran? He said that إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافِ اللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ لَآيَةٍ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. Allah said that verily in the alternation of the night and the day is signs of Allah. For ulil albab, those with intellect. What do? They remember Allah. وَاذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ قِيَامًا وَقُعُودًا وَعَلَى جُنُوبِهِمْ. They are remembering Allah standing, sitting, lying down. They're reflecting, pondering on the heavens and the earth, the night and the day.
All day and the way He does it.
Yeah, the way.
Like, wow,
and they look, they ponder on the universe.
Yeah.
And what do they say? They say, glory be to you, Allah. ما خلقت هذا باطلا. You did not create this for batin, like vain. Is that correct?
For no reason.
You didn't create it for no reason or whatever have you. فقنا عذاب النار. Save us from the hellfire. See that? These can be scientists. What do? Physicists, cosmologists, pondering over the heavens and the earth, and they think, subhanAllah, you did not create this in vain. There was a reason behind this. Glory be to you, Allah. Save us from the hellfire. They get scared now. because they know the power of Allah.
Yeah.
And wallahi, you know what's deep is what did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say in the end of Surah At-Talaq? Is it Talaq? Yes, Talaq. Allah said, الله الذي خلق سبع سماوات ومن الأرض مثلهن الله الذي خلق سبع سماوات ومن الأرض مثلهن يتنزل الأمر بينهن لتعلموا أن الله قد أحاط بكل أن الله على كل شيء قدير وأن الله قد أحاط بكل شيء علما. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that it is Allah who created the 7 heavens and the 7 earths, and He sent the command between it. He sent the amr between it. The whole heavens and earth are going to operate, they're going to run, they're going to function. Why did Allah create the heavens and earth? لِتَعْلَمُوا, so you can know, so we can all know what? That Allah وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِير, He has ability over everything. وَأَحَاطَ وَأَنَّ اللَّهَ قَدْ أَحَاطَ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عِلْمًا, and that Allah has knowledge. So what Allah is trying to tell you is that when you look at the heavens and the earth and the way it all functions and the way it all operates, you will come to 2 conclusions. You will come to know 2 things by looking at the sun, the moon, everything. That Allah has ability and that Allah has knowledge. And you know what that's powerful? It's because Imam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah mentions these are the 2 things you need to be a creator. You need power, in other words ability, and you need knowledge. Can you create something if you don't have the ability but you have the knowledge? Like, I know how to make this table, but I don't have the tools, the ability to do it. No. Okay, what if I have the tools and the ability, but I don't have the knowledge how to make it?
No.
Right. But when you have both, now you're a creator.
No.
Wallahi, when you ponder on the universe, wallahi, when you see that the universe, when it started, it had to have energy. And if it didn't have energy, it wouldn't have been able to form into the way that it did, right? And the energy is what? Energy is power. But who placed that? Who placed that ability there? Who did that? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When you look at a single atom, when you split an atom, what happens?
Energy.
Atomic bomb, right? That's what they call it, right? I'm saying all that energy is in the atom. Who placed that there? Allah, right? So when you look at the universe, you think, wow, all this power it has to have come from the one who has the ability had to have set that in place. Okay, what about knowledge? Wallahi, man, even the kuffar will tell you when you look at the universe, there's intelligent design.
Oh, I know that, yeah.
Wallahi, no, I don't even have to open that door. Hatta even Richard Dawkins, he said, when you look at the universe, it appears as intelligent design.
I can see why someone would believe this.
Yeah.
I mean,
he said it so many times.
Yeah.
Because it's so when you can affirm intelligence for Allah, knowledge, and then you affirm ability for Allah, and now, wallahi, and from the universe you get this. So if you take it to khashya, Stephen Hawkins, wallahi, all day he was looking at this. And what did he do?
So that was going to be my next question. Someone at home might be thinking, you're saying that in the Quran it says, if you ponder over these things, it should lead you to believe in Allah. So why is it that these people who, the more they research, the smarter they get, the more they look at these things, which should really bring them more and more closer. We should bring them closer to Allah and knowledge of Allah. Why is it that the more they do it, the further away they get?
Okay, so there's several answers. Ustad Abdurrahman Hafidullah did a whole series called Sawarif Anil Haq, things that deviate you from the truth. Okay. It could be desires, it could be a leadership position, a whole bunch. He gives so many reasons, so many evidences, whatever have you. Yeah? But I'll mention something in the context of these people. Imam Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah said that there are 2 books that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has basically given to us. There's the open book and the closed book. 2 books that you read. The closed book is the Quran. You open the Mus'haf and you read it. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Okay? Then you have the open book, which is the universe. You actually read it. The same way there are ayat, there are signs in the Quran, verses it's not really verses, signs. There are ayat in the universe. Allah tells you, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ اللَّيْلُ وَالنَّهَارُ. From Allah's ayat is the night and the day. And then there are ayat in the Quran as well, right? So he said these are the 2. Both are read to each other. Like the same way I said to you, for example, the people look at the heavens and earth and they say, مَا خَلَقْتَ هَذَا بَاطِلًا. Allah, you didn't create this in vain. It takes it back to the Quran. فَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Save us from the fire. Where are they getting this fire from? Quran, right? They're going back. Now, the same way now, the people who read the Quran, Allah says, what do you say? Do they not see how we have created the heavens and the earth? The Quran sends you to go look at the universe. So you see, the universe brings you back to the Quran sends you to the universe. These people, they had the universe but not the Quran. You see that? They had the universe but they never had the Quran.
Allah mentions it in the Quran and affirms it for the disbelievers. يَعْلَمُونَ ظَاهِرًا مِنَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَهُمْ عَنِ الْآخِرَةِ هُمْ غَافِلُونَ. That they know the this dunya, they know it
From the apparent, yeah.
from the apparent, but the hereafter they're heedless about it. So Allah's affirming that they know this world, but hereafter, and not only that, you got to understand is that, as you mentioned,
Finish.
So as you mentioned, it's like you said, if this knowledge should lead a person to the truth and so forth, and they should be able to see it. But like you said, there's obstacles, and I advise everyone to go watch that video. It's that
it's like a 10-part series, powerful.
Because you got to understand, when you're seeking Islamic knowledge, it's conditions you got to come with it as well. You have to have the right intention, that you got take the right path, and so forth, take the right teacher, and so forth. So this is Islamic knowledge. Now imagine a person who's going into secular knowledge, and then his intention could be wrong, like you said, power, all these things, and many other things come in the way. So if we have set things for a person to learn Islamic knowledge, because the first 3 or 4 thrown into the hellfire will be the scholar who learned. So the people that could say you're a scholar, the person who took the Quran, so the people could say, oh, you're a reciter, a qari, and the person who fought and said he said, I fought for your sake, but he just fought so the people could say, oh, he was a mujahid and so forth. This is, Islamic. So so this, if not taking the right means and steps, everything like that, it can take you off like that. So it's very important.
So imagine if it's not Islamic.
Yeah.
Imagine there's no Islam.
Yeah, that's it.
Even another thing for these atheists, I think Surah Baqarah right at the beginning, where Allah says, في قلوبهم مرض فزادهم الله مرضا.
صحيح.
That they've got an illness in their heart, and Allah is only going to increase them in that. Which is why you see these people. The more and more they learn, the further away they get. So,
and just want to add on to it as well, is like people entering these fields of position now, as I mentioned, they are considered people of high rank, as in they got high status and stuff like that. So because of that, it's very hard for water to go up a mountain. So when you got arrogance in you, it's very hard to accept the truth. One of the means that
I say that again. That was so deep. Say that again.
Because Bakr Abu Zayd mentions that the student knowledge, he shouldn't be one who's arrogant.
Yeah.
Because water doesn't go
Was
up.
the poetry you mentioned?
That the water doesn't go up a mountain. Water can't go up. So if you put yourself in a higher position, and you think, what, I know this and that.
You need to humble yourself.
Yeah, put yourself down.
So just before we finish up, one last question that I'm going to pose to both of you, inshallah. So if we have someone out there who's studying at university or college, and they're studying these sort of sciences, and they're studying philosophy, and they're studying these sort of topics, and these sort of biology, chemistry, whatever it may be, what advice would you give them? Because they are going to be taught things in a certain way. They are going to be things are going to be portrayed to them with a certain agenda behind it. So what advice would you give to them other than change your course?
Change your course. The reality of the matter is that the most important subject that you will study is Aqidah. When I say Aqidah here, I also mean Tawheed. I'm bringing both of them together, which is studying about Allah and the unseen, the articles of faith, the messengers, the books, the angels, the Akhirah, the Qadr, the prophets, the messengers, right? So this is the most important thing to study. And to study, it's also the proofs and the evidence for it, and how to kind of deflect the doubts that people might throw with regards to it. People are throwing doubts with regards to the Quran about Allah and the Qadr and whatnot. You have to be able to deflect it. You should not be going to study at institutes, especially studying subjects at these institutes that are designed, the syllabuses are designed to destroy the Aqidah, the creed of the Muslims. For example,
how many examples do we have of people who studied at Medina University, did PhDs,
and they went to where? They went to Yale, and now they start saying I doubt. Now they start saying the Quran is changed. Like Yasir Qadi, for example. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protects us. But look at SOAS University. SOAS University, if people study its history, its foundations were made, why? To actually destroy Islam. It's an Orientalist university, right? It was made to destroy Islam. That was what the foundations and the ethos of that university was. So you're going to go to a university that wants to destroy Islam. Then you're going to study a subject that is inherently designed to brainwash you. For example, science. They push philosophical concepts in science now. Do you see what I'm saying? Like what does the discussion of God's existence have to do with science in a secular way? Nothing, because science can never observe Allah, and science can only tell you that which is observable. Okay, it can only disprove or prove to an extent that which it can observe. because it cannot observe Allah, it cannot therefore prove or disprove Allah's existence. So the fact that they bring it in, it shows you what they have some kind of an agenda. Evolution, is that a scientific theory or is that a historical theory? Can you observe the evolution that took place in the past?
No.
And really, that's history. But look, now science is starting to get confused. So now, if you don't know the principles of your aqidah, and you don't know how to deflect these points, you're gonna get trapped. You're gonna get sucked in. Do you see what I'm saying? Especially if you study a subject like philosophy. Philosophy is dangerous, wallahi, and I would advise anyone who's studying that subject to run away from it. Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah said a person of philosophy should basically be whipped and tied to a donkey and dragged around the marketplace. And then he said it should be said to the person, this is the consequences of a person who dives into philosophy. You know why? Because philosophy will confuse. A man will sit there and tell you,
Are you really sitting there?
are you here?
I'm just an identity, you know, my name and everything.
What's an identity?
I'm a fish.
Yeah, it doesn't stop anyway. Yeah.
And then if you say, what's a fish? You say, prove to me you're not a fish. Prove to me you exist. From when you say that to me, like,
I'm saying Assalamu alaikum.
no, Assalamu alaikum. I'm running because you're insane. You're a psychopath. You're asking, do you exist? Like, well, like if you got clapped in the face, you would know you exist.
Yeah.
Do you understand? But the pain, is it true? No. Well, I actually sat. Well, I remember I sat with one guy. You know what he said to me?
Let's wrap it up, inshallah.
Yeah. Okay. This is the last one. He said, you were there with me in the train. He said, how do we know that the universe didn't come from a celestial turtle?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember?
From a celestial turtle.
Yeah.
I mean, you got people. That guy. I remember he made a video of you saying that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was an Irish man from. His name was Patrick or something. Like,
Yeah.
You have those people who, but they're just majnoon. It gets to a point where, bro, it's just like, bro, come on, like, maybe you can play. Maybe we can play that clip. I don't know. If you want that to be played, but
just to wrap up your thing, anyone studying whatever they're gonna go into, first of all, it needs to serve the purpose that you were created for. In it, that's the first thing. That Allah created us to worship Him. That's our purpose. And then after that, once that foundation is solidified, then you build around that, and then you be like, okay, what suits my needs to help me in fulfilling this goal? And then after that, then the person builds, and now you have a foundation. If you don't have a foundation, you're just a leaf and the wind's just slapping you around like that. And not only that, is a person needs to understand that certain questions which are posed nowadays are just mostly influenced through society. Like, Muslims are only asking certain questions because it's kind of been forced. It's been forced in a subliminal way that you're made to ask this question. Like, for example, why can't a woman drive? Like, why do you ask that question? Like, is that a priority or something like that? Or why is it that a man can marry more than one and a woman can't? And these kind of things. Or why is it that inheritance? Or why is it like, who originally is asking these questions? Because it's not your question. Like, someone put this out there, and the subliminal built it in a way which made it feel like, you know what, I have a question. What does this sound say about inheritance? X, Y, Z?
There's all doubts are being put in people's hearts and they didn't realise.
You were living with it for 1,500 years almost, yeah?
Listen, like, don't...
It was all working.
Yeah.
No one argued because it was working.
Like, you get... Like, literally not long ago,
It was the same
being
in this country.
homosexual, you would get ridiculed for that. Like, it was...
No, you get arrested.
In this country. as
Yeah.
well.
And I forget arrested.
And the women were dressed in a certain way and this and that.
Forget arrested. I'm not talking that long ago. Like, in school.
Yeah.
Insulted. Like, that wasn't that long ago.
Like, look.
Yeah,
Now
when I
it's-
was in school, yeah.
Yeah, so now it's a change of like, bro, what's wrong with you? Like, whoa. Like, chill out. We jumped 20 steps. We jumped off a cliff. We get 20 steps. Like, so a person needs to realize, like, look, if you don't have a foundation, you're asking, today this question, and then tomorrow you're gonna be like, why are we putting shoes? Why do I put my left shoe on my left shoe? Why don't I put my right shoe now? And this, you ain't got no. So I'm just saying, a person needs to be aware when a question is coming his way. Is that a priority for him at that time? Is it really important? And let's start give importance to what's important first, like the brother mentioned, start with Aqidah and build your way up. And not only that, you can only build once you know what your foundation is, and if you have that foundation, you can build on that.
So I think we'll end it there, inshallah. I don't know if it's just because of the fact that it's really late and we're all tired, but this has been such a mellow, like, relaxed jam kind of thing. The way you were sitting with your knee up and I was just sitting there relaxing and drinking milk with biscuits. I don't know. I'm liking this vibe right now, innit? But inshallah, we'll leave it there, and hopefully, inshallah, we'll see you on the next episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.